Hiroo Onoda's life story is one of the most extraordinary and captivating accounts of unyielding loyalty, psychological endurance, and the human cost of war in modern history. Born on March 19, 1922, in Kainan, Japan, Onoda was raised in a society that deeply valued honor, duty, and sacrifice for the emperor. As a young man, he joined the Imperial Japanese Army and trained in intelligence and guerrilla warfare. In 1944, during the final stages of World War II, he was sent to the Philippine island of Lubang, where he received a specific mission, to conduct sabotage operations against enemy forces, gather intelligence, and most importantly, never surrender or take his own life under any circumstances. These orders would shape the rest of his life. When the war officially ended in August 1945 with Japan's surrender, Onoda was still hiding in the dense jungles of Lubang. His unit had no way of verifying the truth of the surrender, and he, along with a few other soldiers, dismissed leaflets dropped from planes and announcements broadcast by loudspeakers, believing them to be enemy tricks. For Onoda, surrender was inconceivable, it was a violation of his sacred duty as a soldier of the emperor. Thus began a surreal and prolonged episode of guerrilla resistance that would span nearly 3 decades. Over time, his comrades either surrendered or died. One was killed in a shootout with local police, another gave up and returned to Japan, and the last, Kinshichi Kozuka, was killed in 1972, 27 years after the war had ended. Onoda was left alone in the jungle, surviving on bananas, coconuts, and stolen livestock, living in makeshift huts, and carrying out occasional raids on village crops and storehouses. He believed it was all part of a continuous war effort, interpreting any attempts at contact as enemy deception. Despite numerous efforts by the Japanese government to convince him to come out of hiding, through newspaper drops, letters from family, and even aerial missions announcing that the war had ended, Onoda remained deeply skeptical. His training and unwavering belief in military code convinced him that these were psychological tactics meant to trick him into surrender. Decades passed, and his presence on the island became a mix of legend and fear for the local population. Then, in 1974, a young Japanese traveler named Norio Suzuki, who had set out to find Lieutenant Onoda, a panda, and the abominable snowman, in that order, miraculously located him. Suzuki approached him in peace, and the two formed a tentative friendship. Onoda explained that he would only surrender if directly ordered by a superior officer. Suzuki returned to Japan with the news and sparked international fascination. Incredibly, the Japanese government managed to track down Major Yoshimi Taniguchi, Onoda's former commanding officer, who had long since retired and become a bookseller. Taniguchi agreed to travel to Lubang, and in a formal ceremony in the jungle, he relieved Onoda of his duties. The moment was deeply emotional. Onoda, in his worn-out uniform but still immaculately maintained, presented his sword and rifle, which remained in excellent condition and fully functional. On March 9, 1974, Hiroo Onoda surrendered, almost 30 years after World War II had ended. His return to Japan was met with a mixture of admiration, shock, and controversy. Many admired his discipline, courage, and dedication to duty, while others saw him as a tragic symbol of the destructive nature of blind obedience. His actions had resulted in the deaths of several Filipino villagers and clashes with local police over the years, raising complex ethical and political questions. Onoda, now a relic of a long-gone imperial era, struggled to adapt to post-war Japan, which had become a peaceful, industrial, and highly modernized society during his decades of isolation. Disillusioned, he moved to Brazil, where he ran a cattle farm and lived a quieter life far from the media spotlight. Later in life, Onoda returned to Japan and tried to contribute positively to society by founding a survival training camp for young people. He believed that modern Japanese youth lacked the mental and physical resilience that had been instilled in his generation. He remained a controversial but undeniably fascinating figure until his death in Tokyo on January 16, 2014, at the age of 91. His legacy endures as a powerful and sometimes haunting reminder of how deeply belief, duty, and national ideology can shape a person's destiny, so much so that even decades after a war ends, one man's battle might still rage on in the shadows of a forgotten jungle.